Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I am live. This is Fighting CPS and Stop Taking Our Children, and I'm Bob Pace, your host. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS Bob Pace, and I warmly welcome you to this live podcast. It's broadcast all around the world, and anybody that has internet can enjoy this podcast and get benefit from it. It's an interactive podcast. There are 4 ways that you can interact with this podcast. I'll get that in a moment. But this show, as you found me on Facebook, I'm broadcasting YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application. Now, my show is 7 days a week, twice a day. That's 14 shows a week. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time for an hour and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time for an hour. Now, on Sundays, the only day I have exception, I'm with my family at church, so I'm on it 2 hours early at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time for an hour. Other days, it's I'll let you know ahead of time. This being the football season, I'm an avid high school football fan, and Friday night lights are the football games. My son, played for the high school that has been the number one team around for almost 10 years. So I may have to do my podcast at 3. But luckily, the game yesterday was actually on Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6:30 Hawaiian Standard Time. And it was a great game. It was a great game. My son's school was playing the Red Raiders on the North Shore of Oahu. And it was an exciting game. All the games were exciting. I love watching football. It's a nice break from things. Now, I came on a little bit late this evening because my router wasn't setting right, so I had to redo my router. So I apologize for the technical difficulties there, but I'll give you a full hour on the show. So we'll run a little bit past 8 o'clock tonight. Now, as I told you, this is a live podcast. And you can interact with this podcast. Right now, I'm trying to contact one of my room regulars to see if she would like to help out tonight with this podcast. She's becoming quite a regular, and she's been going through a lot lately. But she has some exciting news that she's now the people in Kentucky, where she's from, are now opening up her case that's over 12 years old. So hopefully she'll join us tonight. It's very, very hard there.
Hello. You have reached my
Well,
voicemail.
it looks like I got their.
To take your call right now. If you could leave your name, your number, and a brief message, I will return your call as soon as I possibly can. Thank you, and have a wonderful, blessed day.
Yeah, it looks like I got her voicemail.
When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Yeah, hey, Faye, I thought you'd join us tonight and see if you'd like to talk about any topics and help us out. Give me a holler. Take care, Faye, and God bless you. Okay, she's from Western Kentucky. I've notified Natalie from West Hollywood, and she wants to know what time the show is, so she'll be on there. So, I've contacted our room regulars now. Now, there, as I said, 4 ways to be on this podcast, to interact with this podcast. I'm here to talk about the child protection system. I call the branch of social services that deals with the protection of her children from neglect and abuse. Also, this arm of social service is supposed to help out families in need with housing and food and clothing, education and medical and work. When families are in need, they should be able to turn to social services and the child protection system. Also, if they have to break your family up because some allocations, it should be only if they're in imminent danger. And if it's done so, they should do family reunification because the best parents are the biological parents. I can't tell you how I emphasize that the best parents are the biological parents. Now, I hope everyone's doing well. This being a Sunday evening, it's pretty tragic if your whole week's been dealing with CPS. I've been dealing with CPS, the Child Protection System, since 2010. And for 5 years, I had a layperson or laypersons that called in, they made false allegations. They were my in-laws, and I had no idea that my wife's family, her father and mother, her 3 sisters and brothers, would be trying to take our children away from us. And it's really sad, but that's what was happening. So be awful careful with lay people make false allegations. 50% of the allegations are from people making false allegations. So that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Now, the first way to interact with this podcast is to be in this room, and you found me. So that's one way. You can take notes and listen. Also, there's emojis that you can use. You can do hearts and smiley faces and thumbs up. You can do stars too. There's a way of rating with the stars, and that's great. Also, down below, you can subscribe to my podcast and notifications when I'm on. I try to make every show differently, and I try to make it how you want it to be. Meaning, I can talk about my case, I can talk about social workers, I can talk about 50 or 75 topics I've opened up in my Google search that I can talk about 388 motions, the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. There's so much things I can talk about. Or I could talk about stories of CPS on Kenora that does this, where I have my stories of CPS. It talks about it there. Now, if you want to talk on my podcast, there are 2 ways, 3 ways actually. First way is you're going to make a comment by texting a comment to me. Now, what I'll do is I'll put it up there so you can read it on the screen and you can see it. It says, when typing in the comments about your CPS questions, please show your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. Now, whether it's a comment or a question, please pertain to CPS. We want to talk about the child protection system. There's a lot we could talk about, but this is the room for you, to help you, because your family has been broken apart and CPS is very corrupt. They will steal your children. They will traffic your children. They will alienate your children. They will lie. They will do revengeful, and they will embezzle funds. They're very corrupt. There's no one accountability for them. And I'm sorry to say that, but 90% of the cases that I've had in here, over 500 some people, have testified how abuse this CPS has been to them. And majority of those families, I would say probably 90% of those families, are low income, lost a job, unfortunate things like that. So I'm here to help all of you and everything on there. Now, please show your name. Now, a lot of you may have names already. That's fine, but the name I'm looking for is name like Betty, Sally, Bill, Tim, Peggy, Kathy, general names. Jumping elephants or psychedelic hippos or flying butterflies, or Gone with the Wind, are really sort of telling you what you feel about your causes or whatnot. But what I want to do is I want an easy name. Doesn't it be last name? Then it's very important you put your city, and if you don't do your city, do your county. I'm trying to get an idea where in the United States. I've talked to everybody, all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. And so I pretty much know the pockets, but I'm kind of to pinpoint them. So please tell me your city, your county, and your state. Now, when I said country, I do have people from around the world, since this is a worldwide podcast, that have called in from their country, not called in, but text from the country. And they have texted a message of how awful their CPS case has been, or they want some help. And I'm here to help everybody worldwide or in this country. Believe me, I love the red, white, and blue. I'm all for the red, white, and blue. But when you have a corrupt agency in our government, like CPS, more corrupt than the IRS, you have to be careful. There's rules and things you got to know about this particular agency. So these countries have similar problems. Now, I've heard from Bangladesh. I've heard from New Delhi, India. I've heard from a Middle Eastern country, but it was all in Arabic. And I couldn't make out what the country was in Arabic. So hopefully they'll contact me again. I've heard from Africa, the continent of Africa. There's been several countries there. There's been Liberia in the northwest along the coast. Then there has been the western province of South Africa in the south. Then Rwanda, a small country, very small country near Lake Victoria in Central East Africa. That country had gone through a lot in 1994, where over 1 million people were slaughtered and murdered when they had civil rights there, and over 500,000 females were raped. It was a tremendous time for such a small country. Then I have Mozambique, which is above South Africa, below Somalia. Somalia. I'm trying to get these names right. Mozambique, below Somalia, above South Africa, on the east coast, across from Madagascar Island. And they've also text messages. Then going over to Europe, I've heard from England, Scotland, Wales, and the United Kingdom. And also, I've heard from Denmark and Sweden. And then in the North America, across the pond in North America, I've heard from several provinces up in Canada. I've heard from the First Nation people, which is what they're called, they're Indians. In Canada, their Indians are called First Nation. And I've heard from them also, like places like British Columbia and Alberta, and also from Vancouver and so forth on the West Coast. I've heard from all 50 states, including Washington, D.C., and heard from Indian tribes like the Lakota Sioux at the Rosebud Reservation, or the Cherokee in Oklahoma, or the Osage in Oklahoma. The Cherokee were first in Florida, but then they were relocated to Oklahoma in the 1870s. And then there is important, these people are called our Native American Indians. They are the first immigrants to settle. They came from Siberia across the land bridge in Alaska, land bridge in Siberia into Alaska, and they became the Eskimos, and then they came into Canada and settled there, and they're the First Nation people. Then they settled in North America, and they were there when the earliest European settlers were the Vikings that were first exploring the New World, which was the United States. And then we had the Spanish and the English and the Dutch and all the other countries from Europe exploring the United States. They were the second, third, fourth immigrants. We are all immigrants. If we're born here, we're a Native American Indian, but what we call, Native American. If we are an Indian, we are called a Native American Indian here. So it's important that all people are treated equal and treated fairly. And it's a big country, and we're going through a lot of turmoil right now with elections. And thank God Our former President Trump was shot again today, if you haven't heard. And it's really sad that someone does not want him as president. It's been a really hard thing to follow. So we need a strong president. We need a president that has met the world, knows how to work with bad leaders as well as good leaders, will not take guff, will make our fuel, our gas cheap again, who will lower our food down. I don't know if you noticed today, I was in the store shopping, and our food is getting so expensive. It's unbelievable how much to rise. Ready-made sandwiches used to be $5.99, and you used to make them on the spot, and you could make them while you want them. Now, Kroger or Ralph's, whatever you want to call it, has raised the prices from $5.99 to $6.99 to now to $7.99. It's $8 for them to make a sandwich. I could not believe it's $1 more. And it's greed. It's greed. If you look at the grocery stores and the CEOs and everybody's making money. They're not losing money. And they're making money at the expense of us. And it's sad because in CPS cases, one of the areas that we struggle is food. I struggle with it too. Unfortunately, I hit hard times too. So if you're in a country, and I'd finished off, but I didn't finish off all the countries, you go further south to Mexico. And there's a gentleman in Mexico City that actually called in to the show and said, how do I locate my daughters in Louisiana? And we helped him. We helped him locate his daughters in Louisiana. And then further south in South America, there was a country called Guyana. And it's a coastal town on the east coast of South America, east of Venezuela, north of Brazil. They have a coastal country. They're very small, but they too have text and messages. Then across the Pacific, in the land down under, Australia, and several people have text messages from Australia. So it's a worldwide epidemic. You know, they say that the CPS system is supposed to protect your children, but I don't know if it really is. Faye, my co-host here, I should call her, from Richmond, Kentucky, has kept track of about 30 people, 30 young children, boys and girls, 3 years old, 2 years old, 4 young children. And she's made tombs and put their pictures on them that have been killed in the cabinet's hands, meaning they call their people that do CPS sits in the cabinet. And she has seen that. She's seen the corrupt. Right now, it's said that Kentucky is the worst place for the child protection system. And the police are very corrupt there. And that's a sad face, because CPS isn't to protect her children, because there's too many children not being protected. They don't know how to weed out the bad from the good. They do not know how to weed out the bad from the good. Now, I said the second way, one of 3 ways you can talk on the show is to text a message. That's talking. And you need to be complete with your case. You need to tell me what your family's made up of. Is it, a mother and father, or is it a boyfriend, girlfriend? Are they lovers? Are they partners? What is your family makeup? And then are they the same parents of the children or different parents? Is it a single parent family? Are both parents involved? And then how old are the children? And what sex are they? Are they young children or older children? Then what were the allegations? A little bit more than neglect or abuse, a little bit more detail about that. And then how were the children taken? Were they taken from you? You just walked in and they had the police there and intimidate you and take your children, ask for your children? I like to know the details, because there's ways, and one of my rules is how to answer the door, how not to let your child get taken, those kind of things, how not to talk to social workers. You don't have to talk to them. Anyway, try to be complete with your case. And after the allegation, tell me where you're at on your case. Tell me where you're at on your case. You're the beginning, the middle, the end, or what? So that is the second way you can interact with this podcast. Now, a third way is to be a guest on my podcast. And I love to have guests here. We've had some this past couple days. We had Stephanie from West Virginia, who's struggling with an abusive boyfriend. And so to schedule as a guest, that means just like you see me here on the screen, I have room for 9 more people. Total of 10 I can show on the broadcast. The StreamYard application is the application I'm using when I'm transmitting on YouTube. And all you need to do is to contact my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works well behind the scenes, helps my show. She'll help you. And she all she has to do is be told what show you want. So I've already given you the dates and the times. You just say, I want to be on Bob's Monday show in the evening, or Bob's Tuesday show in the morning, or Bob's Wednesday show at night, or the Sunday show in the morning. You just need to tell her that. There's 14 shows that you can be on. And if you want to be on more than one, you're perfectly welcome to, because we will help you with your case, and we will try to tell you what is going on and so forth there. Now, to contact Grace, is all you do is type in an email to her, grace@vincentwdavis.com. grace@vincentwdavis.com. And you just say the show times, and she will contact you, give you the link. Now, if you get the link and you get knocked off, use that same link again. It's a good link. It's not a bad link. So, you may be knocked off and be on there. Now, it's important that you have the proper connection so that we can see and hear you. It's best to use a computer, but if you only have a phone, that's okay. Try the ranges so the light isn't blocking your face. Have the light behind you, not in front of you. Or have the light, I guess, to the side is sometimes better. But Faye will help you with those particulars about that. She'll also tell you that there's no smoking or eating on the podcast, or, eating snacks or gum or making noise, chewing ice or something there. And she also will tell you that we do not give the names of children on the podcast, or social workers, or judges. So we do not talk about them. So make sure you speak up clearly. You got a good microphone that everybody can hear you, and you'll be just like me talking on by my side. So all you do is email her at grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now that's the third way. The fourth way is another way you can talk about is the call in to my show. The call in, all you will do is dial my office number. It's 626-698-0990. That connects you to my phone. We use Vonage. And that is how we connect there. So, excuse me. Okay. So there's my phone number. You can call me during my showtime, but never call me before my showtime or after because I cannot answer the phone. Also, with answering the phone, if you do call before my showtime or after, I will text you back with my show hours. You can leave a message. You can meet them in. So it's 626-698-0990. Now you see another phone on the screen and you may ask me, what's that number? Well, this number, 888-888-6582, is my office. So if you want to call my office and talk to an attorney, you can do so. It's not, you can call the office and say, I need a specialized attorney. This is Mr. Davis's law firm, and he has a law firm of many attorneys that help you in different areas of law, such as your workplace, whether you're being discriminated, whether you're doing a lawsuit. There's lots of things. The area that the child protection system is dependency law. It's where juveniles and family law and dependency law go hand in hand. It's a specialized area. And Mr. Davis is also very equipped to fight CPS and get your children back. He's been doing it for 35 years. And that leads me into my first rule. Rule number 1 is you must have an attorney. Why? It's just like open heart surgery. CPS is that difficult, that critical, that you don't want to lose your child. And you need to get an attorney to represent you. Now, I know that a lot of you say, well, I got a court-appointed attorney. Well, let me tell you about the court-appointed attorney. Yes, they are free, but they usually have a caseload of 30 more clients. They're only schooled in criminal law. They're beginning attorneys. They're not paid very much, and they will not fight for your case. They will do a haphazard job or like a token, and they'll settle your case probably not the way you like it. And furthermore, you're entrusting your hands into this incompetent attorney. And I'm sorry to put them down because mine was, and everybody I talked to, I've yet to hear a successful court-appointed attorney winning back children back in their homes. I'm not saying don't use them because that may be the only resource, but you need to look at things. I sold my home to get my attorney. My attorney was Mr. Davis. And I'd like to talk to you also that he's an attorney that right now I got him to make a special consultation on Zoom. And I have it at the bottom of my screen, if you can see that. It says you can book a discounted Zoom consultation with attorney Vincent Davis for 30 minutes. I forgot to tell you, only charges $60. And all you have to do is go to the website. You don't phone number, but you go to the website. And it's https://candidly, CLENDLY.com/apps, APPTS, VWD/Bob Pace, BOBPACE. When you go to that website, you can book a consultation. It's a Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. And they'll take your credit card and you can book a Zoom meeting with him. And it's well worth the $60 because he will tell you so much information. Well, I'm glad you're here, Faye. I know. Faye hit so many highs and lows in her life. And let me tell you about Faye. Faye is a remarkable woman that I've met the last couple months. She's been on my show. She's a single mother, and she's from Richmond, Kentucky. She has a 23-year-old son who she's taking care of because he's special needs. And right now, she's still going through a lot. For 12 years or 13 years, she'd been fighting CPS. You see, once she was in CPS as a young girl, she was in CPS in and out 5 times. Her mother wasn't very good parent skills and caused her daughter to go through hell. She's been molested, she's been raped, she's been abused physically, she's been tortured to walk on rocks in her bare feet, all kinds of things as a young child and as a teenager. She's been on the streets, she's been trafficking, but somehow she got her high school education, completed it, and is a contributed person to society right now. She has a small home, a very small home in Kentucky to try to take care of her son and her cats. She has lots of dogs and cats. She's a pet person. She's good spirits. But when her daughter was 4 years old, she had to make a choice between keeping her son or keeping her daughter. Kentucky is so corrupt that they have, I got something put in there by mistake. What did I put in there? I just put that by mistake. I'm sorry. It should be my phone number, and somehow that got put up there. I have no idea. Okay, let me get that fixed. Okay, there's my phone number. And Faye is typing, so I need to see what she says. So I'm going to put that for a second. Faye needs a lot of your support and kindness to her because after 12 or 13 years, she just found out from the new department in Kentucky. She talked to an ombudsperson who's going to open up her case why her daughter was taken. And it's really sad because the more she looks in her case, the more she finds out how corrupt all the government figures and how her daughter was stolen from her. Her daughter, she didn't give up voluntarily. She was forced to make a choice, and her daughter was stolen. Why? Because I guess the wealthy people want an easy adoption. It's hard to adopt kids the old-fashioned way or the way that they normally do it. And Faye has been following the show, and I'm so glad. And she is a wealth of knowledge. She's very intelligent. She doesn't have a college degree, but she's so intelligent. She speaks well. She writes well. She's a good spokesman out there. And right now, she's trying to make inways right now. Now, she further says, I just don't understand how these people sleep at night with the way they've steal our children from living parents. See, this is something that Faye and I have found, and I find it by talking to over 500 people. I'm sorry, loving parents. Faye says, I'm sorry, read your word right, loving parents. Of course they're loving. Any of you that are in my room right now, there's several of you in my room. I know you're not saying much, but that's okay. But you do care. That's why you're here. Anybody that's fighting CPS cares about their children. They like to have their children returned. There's a lady in Brooklyn, New York, KK Richardson, that has the CPS, the Child Protection System, on the ropes because they are so corrupt. They are so corrupt. They steal. There's no accountability. It's all about money. It's about money that they want to make. It's $1 trillion business. Oh, I apologize, Faye. I didn't know you went to, I don't know how she would do to college. Wow, I'm impressed. I forgot she is a nurse. She went to college and got a degree in nursing. She is very knowledgeable at nursing. She likes to help others. You can see the kind of person that wants to be a nurse. She's that kind of giving person. She'll give the shirt off your back. She's helped out people when she has very little food, very little money, and she's helped them. She has talked to people and tried to help them out there. I cannot thank Faye enough for what she does for my podcast because she's helped me learn a lot about the system in Kentucky compared to the system in California. It's really interesting how every CPS is different from state to state. It's different from state to state. If you really want to know what a typical social worker is, and I'm going to use it as typical because I have 5 or 6 cases of bad social workers, probably even more out there. But these I call the pink ladies. In Prescott, Arizona, their CPS is called Department of Children's Services, DCS. And they had 8, I wouldn't say probably middle-aged women, white women. They had over 25 years of social work. And they decided one day, and I don't know if it was one of them or 2 of them, but all 8 of them were in on it. They bought pink T-shirts. And on the front of the pink T-shirts, they stenciled professional child kidnappers. What does that tell you? Professional child kidnappers. They're interested in kidnapping your child, not helping your family, not returning your family, not even protecting the children. There's children out there that need help, that are in imminent danger. Where is the social workers? But they decided to do these pink T-shirts, and furthermore, they rubbed it in your back, and they put on the back of the T-shirts as they walk by. Do you know where your children are at? Like they're intimidating the parents out there. Intimidating. That is probably the worst example of social workers, and that was in Prescott, Arizona, and you can look it up. It's 2022. It's only 2 years ago, and you'll see all about them and how they parade around at Costco and Walmart and Kmart and Target and Best Buys. Any big department store, any big store that had a lot of people, they paraded, and they were proud to wear their T-shirts. Professional child kidnappers. And on the back, do you know where your children are? Well, Prescott people were outraged. They contacted, and all 8 of those social workers were fired, and including the director in charge of the Department of Children's Services, DCS. And they're no longer there. That left them down to one person running the department, who's a guy. And that's sad, because there are probably a lot of cases that slipped through the cracks that weren't investigated, that the children were protected or the children were even killed. I'm telling you right now, there are cases and cases where is the CPS? I know a case that was heartbroken to me many months ago in Ohio. A mother, late in her 20s, early 30s, decided to take a vacation to Puerto Rico. She had a little child that was, I think, 14 months old. And she, on the whim of things, decided, I'll leave my child in those bouncy chairs, those activity chairs they sit at. And she left the child with probably a drinky or something there. But she was gone 13 days. 13 days to go on a vacation. And she comes back and she wonders why her child's dead. Where was CPS? Where were the relatives? This is ridiculous. You think about that child on the first day starving or sitting there with diapers that have maggots in it or parasites. She had E. coli. It was terrible when they found that child. She went through so much suffering. There are children that go through suffering. I'm not saying abolish the CPS system. I say grow up, act your age, be responsible adults, be out there to save our children, to help families in need. There are thousands of families that need help in the areas of food. It's ridiculous how expensive it is. You should be able to help a family, not tear them apart. They stole my children, and I'm college educated, and I've been working for a long time. And they stole my children. They stole my children. I have 6 children, 3 older ones and 3 younger ones. I had 2 marriages, total of 41 years, to 2 women. Unfortunately, my first marriage didn't work out after the first 10 years, but the last one, 31 years. And I'm sad to say that because of CPS, my marriage has taken a toll. I've lost my home because I had to sell it to hire an attorney. My credit is ruined. I lost my job at age 60 through no fault of my own. No fault of my own. I had a beautiful job. I had a beautiful home, a mile from the beach, in a private neighborhood with CC&Rs, rules and regulations to go by. You could not live in a dump in my neighborhood or even in the city. I live in Surf City, USA, California. And right now I'm in a small 3-bedroom apartment because I have 4 people with me. I have my 2 sons and my wife, and everybody has a room. And we do struggle. We do struggle. My 2 boys that my attorney got back were damaged by the child protection system. Our youngest daughter, your youngest child, almost the youngest, second youngest. She's the youngest of my 3 girls. I have 3 girls, 3 boys. My youngest is 18. He'll be 19 this month. And my daughter, who's 22, was taken away at age 12. Age 12. And how she was taken away and how it was really done, it was crazy. It was crazy. What had happened is that for 5 years, CPS constantly harassed me. They said, we got a complaint that says you're not feeding your kids. We got a complaint that you don't have utilities turned on. We got a complaint you're not in school. They were going to top-notch schools. My son was going to a private school. You don't think if you're paying for school, you wouldn't have him there at school? He was getting A's and B's. He was in STEM, a science class, a technology class, an engineering class, and a math class, because he wanted to be an engineer, a computer engineer. He wanted to work with artificial intelligence and work for space organizations that have artificial intelligence out there on Mars. My other son, who was behind him by so many years, he was 9 at the time, wanted to be an astronaut. And when he was in the 8th grade, he said he wanted to be an astronaut. So I had him all booked out for the Naval Academy. But they ruined him. My daughter wanted to play some sports. She was a beautiful daughter. And she wanted to play. And again, all my children were loving. There was nothing true to what they said. They came out to my home. They found my home was spotless and there's food in it and is well taken care of. It was a rich home. It's a rich home. Every child had his own room. They weren't sharing it with another child, their own bathroom. The yard had a sloping pool, a rock pool with a grotto jacuzzi and waterfalls and a very tropical, lush background in the back. Then it had an English garden on the side with eating areas and lights at night and stuff. It was very quaint to be in that yard, in that house. High ceilings, push-button electrical switches, a central vacuum throughout the house. It had a trash compactor. It had a built-in refrigerator, built-in stove, a grill, center. I mean, I could go on and on. A formal dining room. It was an expensive home. It took me 40 years to get. 40 years of working 60 hours a week, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. I worked hard to get that room. I worked so hard. Anyway, they were harassing me. And it was my family, my in-laws. I had no idea. There's 2 types of individuals that make reports: professional people and people that are lay people. Professional people are trained how to recognize abuse and neglect. They're like school teachers, principals, nurses, doctors, policemen, firemen, caregivers. Those individuals are required by law to report abuse or neglect. And 99% of the time, they report it honestly and truthfully, but maybe they find out it wasn't necessary, but they did their job. But the other person, 50% of the people that call in lay people, like your girlfriend, boyfriend, your neighbor, your person walking down the street, walking a dog with, they see something, they hear a child cry, they're going to call. They're going to do things. A lot of things they see are not a child in danger. But the way CPS now with this money thing, where they have to feed their bonuses and they have to make money. My social worker was so bad. She was more excited about a Gucci purse and her clothing, her accessories, her eyelashes, her makeup, her BMW car. She wasn't educated for a job. She didn't have a college degree in social work or a college degree in clinical social. She didn't even have a license. She never did mentoring of social workers. She was thrown right into the thick of things. And she abused my family. She abused my daughter. My boys were abused in foster care. They were taken from a very safe environment and put into a dangerous environment. They were in danger, and it was sad. Now, I probably jumbled around a little bit, talking about my case and the kinds of social workers, but I'm angry. I get angry at times. We all do. And I also am very hurtful for Faye, because Faye, she's a good person and she's hurting right now. So if you could send some emojis of love to her, send her warm hugs, because she is a beautiful. She's faced the fact that she may have to move. Why? Well, she says she lives with a crazy landlord that wants to get rich, so he doesn't care about his tenants. So he's going to sell their place. The new person is going to jack up the rent, and then she's going to be out on the street again. This is wrong. There should be a control over landlords, that they shouldn't be able to arbitrarily. My rent's gone up $100 a month every year since COVID has been over. Instead of trying to help you get on your feet, everybody's been greedy out there. Yes, during the COVID, there was restrictions on raising the rent. And I realized that people need to make money. But why did they make money, so much money? I mean, there are people that make millions and millions of dollars, but why take toll on people that love this country? Faye loves this country. She's concerned about the politics, as we all are, and she loves her country. She's from a working class. She's someone that stumbled through no fault of her own, being brought up in foster care. And foster care is corrupt. Now, I've had a foster care mother on this show, and she was nice. And she did agree with me how the child protection system is corrupt. She doesn't believe in adoption. She only wants to be a temporary mother for those children, and she's sincere about how she takes care of the children. But they're far and few. The majority, and I'd say 90% of the social workers, are evil. They are evil. Faye knows firsthand information. She has details about how these social workers, how these government officials are so bad. The governor wanted to run for vice president. That governor is corrupt. I'm glad he's not a vice president candidate. And again, it seems what we need is someone that knows how to run a business, build a business. Right now, we're on the verge of going bankrupt again. Why? This has got to stop. We can't keep asking every couple months or every 6 months, where are we going to get the money to pay the bills and stuff? The candidates should be addressing the issue about why we're bankrupt and how we can resolve it. That's a big, strong point. I challenge the two candidates out there running for president to look into how to stop this constantly running out of money situation. We need somebody that is a business person that's very strong, because the world is tough out there. You got the Middle East problems, you got the North Korean, the Chinese, the Russians, and what Russia's doing is wrong. That's outright barbarism. There's no justification that Putin's doing that. Putin is an ex-KGB. He doesn't care. He wants the old Soviet Union back. And I don't know how CPS is in Russia because I've had nobody from Russia. I do have some Russian friends, and they say it's horrible there. It's horrible. The economy is ready to burst. And he's only doing it because he's greed. And what are they doing over there? Are they doing military shooting? No, they're bombing people that lived during World War II, the Holocaust victims. They're killing old ladies, raping old ladies. I have no idea what this incentive is to rape women. I don't know what it is when there's a war going on. But it's happened, I can say, from the dawn of time. It's happened all over the place. It happened during the Vikings, the Romans, all the conquests. Women are mercifully treated as secondary citizens. And that, Faye is a loving mother. And I think any guy would be lucky to have her in his life. I'm not trying to be a matchmaker. I'm not trying to, I think right now she doesn't care about having a partnership. But anyway, she needs help. And I'm glad that you're here, Faye, and I hope you're listening. And I hope that I'm telling you that you got to feel good. And you are a beautiful person if you're hearing me. Now, we don't have much left. We have about 9 minutes of my hour broadcast. Yes, I started a little late. I had a glitch with my router, my internet connection. And so I was able to start late there. But I got it going. I want this show to be something that people can learn from, can understand. And I have rules. Besides getting an attorney, I have rules about your paperwork. Get a notebook. I have rules about not answering the door so you don't get shot. And the rules about giving away your children, not letting social workers in or not talking to them. Watch out the medical trafficking. And I have rules to research the internet, looking at all the different sites. And about your case, be specific. You have to spend a lot of time. And then I have a rule that Faye helped me develop to put all your important documents into a folder. Your documents for your children's birth certificates, their social security card, their grade reports, their mental health issues, their IEP or their special needs, their shot records, your marriage certificate, your driver's license, all the important documents. Either make copies or have them all together in one folder and have it together with your notebook that you organize. Use 8.5 by 11 and have subject tabs and have a very important area, a timeline of your incidents that have happened because you'll need to know that information 6 months, 2 years, 3 years down there that help you. And I've really quickly went over the rules because I've said them so many times. You go back and listen to my podcast, you'll hear my 5 rules in detail. And you'll hear the topics that we've talked about, the 388 motion. And in California, it's called the 388, but other states, it's just called something else. But it's a motion that you request a hearing, and they have to do so within 30 days of new information or to get your case heard again, and so forth. There's the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, that protects Native American children from being automatically adopted into other families. In the 1870s, when the Indians were put on reservations and were brutally killed, their hairs cut off, no longer they could follow their culture. They were trying to be assimilated into what the European immigrants think was right. Now, I'm calling them European immigrants. And the only reason why I call them that, because we're all immigrants, even the Native American Indians are. But somehow we couldn't live with Native American Indians in this country. I wish we did. They had so much respect for the land and the products. They never were wasteful about their products. The buffalo was a mainstay. And yes, I do care very much about the Native American Indians because I do have blood in me from the Lakota Sioux. My great-great-grandmother, I'm proud to say, was a full-blooded Lakota Sioux from the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota. And my great-great-grandfather was a Viking from Austin, Norway. And his lineage was all about Viking. He had a handlebar mustache, blonde hair, very warlike kind of guy. He married a Lakota Sioux woman, and that was his fifth marriage. But he had my grandfather. My grandfather had my father, and today I still am very partial to the Native American Indians. But with this ICWA law, it basically says that CPS must make sure that if Indian children are involved, that they are registered or could be registered with one of the 548 federal recognized tribes. The reason being is that the Indians would take care of their own, meaning the children are placed with the tribe on the reservation, and then the tribe puts them with Indian families, and then they get back to reunification. In the past, since this has been started a long time, the last 100 years, CPS automatically took them and made no effort to do family reunification. That's why they passed that law, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. Look into it. It could help you Native American Indian children. And there's a percent of blood, but I think if you have over a quarter, it's fine. But it's up to each tribe to distinguish what they call a blood lineage there, a blood lineage. But I think a 0.25%. Now, I'm coming close to my end here, so I'm going to come down. There's been no questions tonight. Nobody's come into, well, people have come in and gone in the room, but no one's asked me anything. So I did talk about my 5 rules. I did talk about my case, and I did get my kids back because you need to think about talking to Mr. Davis. He's only a step away from talking to him, because all you have to do is go to that website. All you have to do is go to that website, that https:// candly.com/apps apptsvwd / Bob Pace. If you do anything tonight, make that consultation on your Zoom meeting with him, because it'll make a world of difference. He's also done lawsuits in both civil and civil things in federal and state courts. He's won millions of dollars. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. So contact him, and do that. I was hoping that Natalie from West Hollywood would join me tonight, but I guess she sometimes has internet problems. I also look for a lot of other people that do updates. I want to hear from you all. So any of you that pop in or out, coming in tomorrow, I'm on again at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, Pacific Standard Time. I'd love to have you there. Again, I'm on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'm here to help you all about your CPS case, how to fight these CPS workers, how to do things to protect you from them, and how to stand up for your constitutional and civil rights. I'm not an attorney. I'm a very educated man, and I have a lot that I can share with you. And I'm a dinosaur if you haven't guessed my age. I was age 60 when I got involved with CPS, 65 when my children got taken, and now at age 73, I again am looking for work because I cannot make it to take care of my family. I've been hit too hard by CPS when I had to sell my home, and then they ruined my credit rating. I can't even buy a car. It's so sad. But I will find work again. I will get up again and going. My family's pretty much destroyed. I'm hanging on to it as best I can. I'm a family man, and I feed and take care of my family as best as I can. And my 2 boys are trying to do well. One has just started college. The other one was in college. He had a relapse, but he's going back to college in the spring, which I'm excited to see him. And they're very devout Christians. They believe in God. I believe in God, and we all need to pray. We all need to pray for Faye and for all the people out there. God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow morning. And this is Bob Pace signing off. And thank you, Faye, for being a part of